Not even death can save you from me. Mog Radio proudly presents the Diablo podcast because they didn't think there were enough Diablo podcasts. This is the Inferno.
And you have entered the Inferno. Welcome. We're glad to have you back. This is broadcast number 5. Our 5th shot at this thing. So thanks for coming back. And if you're new to this thing, well, go listen to the other 4 and tell us what you think. We'd sure appreciate it. So here we are. This week, we are going to be breaking down Act 2 of Diablo, talking about the storyline leading into Act 2, how we felt about the areas of Act 2, in general, and how we felt about the boss battles. Just giving a quick breakdown for you, talking about, what we see in the game and, what we liked, what we didn't like, to be honest with you. Also, this week, we'll be talking a little bit about our drops of the week and continuing our ever-growing conversation on how we build our characters. So, with that, and don't forget, we do have a little lore time with Cash this week as well. So now that you know what the show is, here is the cast. He is the grandfather of all gaming. He is Papa Sertas.
What's up?
What's up? He is the master of all things PvE. He is Grace.
You know what's funny? We're talking about Act 2, and in the live stream, I'm playing Act 2 while we podcast at the same time.
It's true.
Welcome to Chaldeum. It's a happy, happy place, right? No?
I guess.
Not really. It's not
The
really
Inferno sing-along podcast.
There we go.
Welcome
let's all
to
not
Chaldeum.
have Ivan do that.
All right, let's just. I won't sing anymore. She
God.
is our lovely lady of all podcasting. She is Tara.
Hello. Shooty, looty.
Shooty, looty. He is our lead writer. When he chooses to write, he is Kalindel.
I'm offended.
Wow, that's a little dig there, pal.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Woo!
Ow.
Zingers coming all night tonight, people.
I'd be offended if you weren't offended.
I would be offended if you weren't offended too. Come on. Come on. We're all friends here. He is infamous in every which way or form. He is Denver Drew.
Yeah, there's still no PvP in this game, but
Yeah.
I did play the Guild Wars beta, and it was pretty sick.
Yikes, dude. Wrong show.
Yeah, wrong show.
I know, I'm just letting you know.
Well,
Yeah,
glad
that's
you-
on our Avengers podcast.
Avengers 2012.
That's a dig.
What happens when the computer goes down?
He is our master of lore time. He is Cash.
If you're gonna PvP, make sure you bring a towel.
There we have it. We can't PvP in the game yet. Yet being the key word. Last but not least, he is our master of role-playing. We're not even sure if he is being his true self right now. He is Parasite.
Bula.
There he is. There we have it. So that is the cast. You heard about the show. The Inferno will start right now.
Fresh meat.
And we call this the Meat Grinder, where we grind this game up one little chunk at a time. This week, Act 2. Act 2. So we had a very stimulating conversation about Act 1. I believe we had 0 skills with us that time. We don't have a guest this week. We just have just about everybody minus Oakley, who is somewhere. He says he's at a family reunion. I want proof. That's where I'm at. I'm paranoid right now.
I say pictures are didn't happen, right?
reunion.
I want some Facebook proof on that one, Oakley, that you were at a family reunion.
Sack potato races.
Sack potato races, the whole works. I want a wholesome family reunion. I want some just pictures of you, arm in arm with some old people you've never met before. The whole works.
We need to see some.
what?
We need to see
What-
some
what
catered
makes
by Chipotle signs. Otherwise, it doesn't count.
What
Okay.
makes it even funnier is it's not his family reunion; it's his wife's.
Then he will definitely have a picture around some old people he's never met before. All right, cool. Let's talk Act 2. Let's see. Act 1 leads us out of Tristram, and Act 2 leads us into the land of Chaldeum, a land that I believe we visited once before in Diablo 2, if I'm not correct, Grades?
I have a feeling it's not.
No, you're telling me Chaldeum isn't in Diablo 2 at all.
Give me a second.
We go to the
No,
desert.
it is not. No, it is
It
not.
isn't? Oh.
I'm right. It's Luke Golin.
Oh,
Luke
that's
Golin.
right. It is Luke Golin, isn't it?
It is. So
How are there
no,
two-
in Act 2 we do not see Chaldeum, unfortunately. I mean, we see Luke Golin in Diablo 2.
Huh.
This one is Chaldeum, as you know. They're completely different desert places that look like the exact same area.
They're two complete desert places that look just like a desert. All right.
It
so
could be Arizona.
I
for all
stand
I know.
corrected.
Just
I
saying.
stand
That or Las
corrected.
Vegas.
Or Nevada, right. So two different
like Vegas.
places.
There's not
both
enough
in the
lights for
desert.
it to be Vegas.
So, Chaldeum, we go to the desert. We face Belial as the big main boss challenge. And I believe what drives us to Act 2 is revenge for the death of Deckard Cain. So,
Is there any other better drive?
I don't think so. I mean, I think everyone's upset that the old man got wasted, and so we had to go, even the score up a little bit.
He's just drunk?
No. Wasted and killed. And
Oh.
then we even the score up. No, it's not like we're going to go, hey.
It's
He bought him
not
a
like
bad
terror on a
shot.
Friday night podcasting.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, he knows.
Hyperdrive is a good drive.
Cool. Let's talk about Act 2. So what are our initial
Well,
thoughts
did-
about
did
Act
you
2?
just have a Tourette's? You just had a Tourette's moment.
Well, you know what? Let me step in here on Act 2. Since my wife is not with me this week, she's down in Peru. I need to give a shout out to her. Act 2, Brute, and that's pretty much how I felt about the second act. I didn't like it as much as the first one, and I certainly didn't like the end of it as much as the first one. Although it's very difficult to beat that cutscene. It was tough to beat, but I did like the bosses. Belial was really cool. I thought it was well done, and apparently the mechanics in the further modes are much more difficult to complete than when I faced off against Belial by myself. So, very cool.
Was the desert just too boring to look at?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
It could have been better.
I don't like those little
in town,
flies
the visuals in the
that.
town.
I don't like those little flies that shoot out other little flies.
Oh yeah, those.
Yeah.
Those are tough.
Oh,
I
yeah.
cannot stand those.
Yeah.
My issue with Act 2 is the ramping up of the difficulty. It's like, in terms of difficulty level, it seems like Act 2 is greater than Act 3, when it should really be somewhere in between. And it's this weird spike in the difficulty where suddenly you're dying a lot, and then afterwards it's easier. It just feels weird as far as progression in the game.
I just hated that I spent like 4 hours looking for a lamp to get a blue Robin Williams to jump out.
Ooh, that's a deep lad reference.
That was
Hey,
That's
Awesome.
all I could think about the entire time. Is it just reminded me that I was back in Agrabah.
So you're thinking Aladdin there, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
that is kind of the Eastern Kingdoms when you get to Diablo 2. They make you think
Yeah.
Middle East, Arab kind of areas.
Yeah, but Chaldeum is a whole new world.
Oh, man.
Boo. Boo.
As long as there's no
Boo.
Mickey Mouse here, we'll be okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the way I look at the desert, when we first got there, I was just like, desert. I was really happy that they broke things up a little bit further down the road by sending us to the oasis and things like that, because I was just like, man, if you're going to stick me in nothing but sand this whole time, it's just gonna wear on me after a period of time. It seems like, I don't know, is it just me or did the Act 2 pacing seem to slow down a little bit?
It definitely slowed down a little bit, and
Okay.
I think it's just I don't know if maybe if it was like that because of design to just kind of get you settled more into the game. But the thing that I like was the contrast between the visuals of Act 1 and the visuals of Act 2 were so different. And then, you get into this vast desert area. And when you really take the time, when you're in town and you really take the time to look at the background and the art behind it, it was pretty impressive the way it looked, and everything to the detail, all the way down to the little snakes and little scorpions that I couldn't stop crushing under my feet.
That was a fun mini game.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? It really kind of grew on me a little bit, and then there was what was it? The name of that other place that it was in the Monk cinematic. I forget what the Alcarnus. Alcarnus was. I think it was talked about as the place that was overrun with like cultists and demons or something like that. But I mean, how cool is that? I dug the story behind the story and the story behind the visuals of how they did it, and the contrast between the two. That's what kind of hooked me back to.
Yeah, I don't know. I hear what you said, Kel, on how it felt like the difficulty was ramped up a little bit. But for me, I don't know if it was that the difficulty was harder or if it was that our tactics had to drastically change. And namely, talking about in situations where the bugs showed up and they spit out bugs at you,
I understand that, but going back in later difficulties, it still... I mean, I understand the tactics of these creatures now, and I'm still feeling that same weird jump in difficulty that then declines. I mean, maybe it's just me, but it makes me really dislike that act. It's my least favorite act of the game.
Could it be the way the terrain's set up?
It could be, but I really think it's more of... See, I would say it's the mechanic of the monsters, except Act 4, you have some really difficult mechanics. But I love Act 4. It's my favorite act.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that it's kind of Act 1. I mean, we said it before. It's basically was the training of here's how you play the game.
Sure.
Act 2, I mean, I wouldn't say the difficulty jumped like crazy, but the training wheels definitely came off, and they threw out some new mechanics and stuff like... You're not just jumping into battle. You have to avoid some things. You have to look at. You have to play much differently.
Yeah, I mean, you do have to play. You had to play differently, at least in the desert areas, from what I realized. And I agree with you too, Cash. What you said. There are those moments, and when you first show up at the hidden camp, if you haven't done it yet, go walk out to the edge. Don't take a left to go down to the merchant. Just walk to the edge and look over it, and look at the city below it. It is absolutely a stunning visual. I mean, it is beautiful artwork in a game. I absolutely loved it. And I appreciated some of the pieces of the desert and the oasis and all the other fun stuff. I think the things I liked about it the most in Act 2 for me, just game mechanic-wise, were the fluff dungeons, as Grace still likes to call them. There were some exceptionally bizarrely tough fluff dungeons in that area.
Yeah, a lot of them are modeled really weird, especially even not just the fluff dungeons, but like the dungeons you have to do for objectives. They're kind of like an ancient Egyptian type dungeon that is crumbling, falling apart. And there's just some really cool ones in there that look really nice.
Yeah, I did like the one thing I did like about Chaldeum is like it felt ancient. You know what I mean? I mean, you really felt like you're in an old place. No, no matter where you were, if you were walking in one of the abandoned villages filled with demons, or even just walking into Chaldeum itself, it just felt ancient to me, like a place that's been there for 1,000 years.
Yes, it does, and believe it or not, I believe that's actually pretty close to the amount of time it's been there.
Nice.
So, it's very fitting for that kind of thing, because especially in these kind of dry climates, your structures will last for millennia. Sure. So that can really give you that good feeling because of the history behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Tara, how'd you feel about it?
I thought it was very majestic and beautiful.
Oh. You like sand.
It's just the opulence of it, walking in there and everything just sort of those high gloss golden, I don't know if almost golden, but those arches and kind of the furniture with those rich jewel tones. Beautiful.
Nice. Surtas, how'd you feel about Act 2? Did you like it?
Yeah, Act 2 is nice. I like the desert, There's different, when you're in the city, it's brighter, and so it looks more vibrant. When you get out, it looks more desolate. I think they did a pretty good job with it.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk storyline here. Act 2 takes us into the desert to track down Belial, which is the Lord of Lies, I believe. Is that right? Lord of Lies?
It is the Lord of Lies.
Lord of Lies. And his sidekick, what was that girl, what was that lady's name who had the dragonflies?
Magda.
Magda, thank you. And to finally settle the score with Magda. I felt like, I guess, just for me, the funny thing I'm getting from this storyline right now is, like, we start off, we get warned of this huge upcoming thing that, this ominous dread that's showing our way. And then we shoot out to the desert to track down Magda. Of course, we run into Belial at the same time. I don't know. How do we feel about the story in Act 2? I mean, did it have the same impact as Act 1, or did it feel more like a transitional piece between Acts 1 and 3 and 4?
Well, it definitely had a different feel than Act 1.
Yeah.
Act 1 was just more dark and sinister and, dungeony. And this one all around just had a different feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does feel more like a transition dungeon, or transition act, I should say. And it helps bridge that gap, though, into finding out a lot of your story. I mean, in Act 2, you reveal Zoltan Kulle and, a little bit of the backstory behind Diablo if you listen to the cutscenes. Some people just skip through them, some people don't.
Sure.
But it tells the story of how angels and demons first started this, main war in Sanctuary, and the story of the soul stones behind it, and the big plot there to capture all the demons, and you just hear a lot of that kind of story, and about the people of Chaldeum as well. So it's a big transition to it, and capturing Belial and getting him into the Black Soul Stone eventually, and getting to that point. But it sets the foundation for the rest of the storyline and the epic quest that your character is going to join in. The first part of the quest starts with, okay, I'm coming here, and then you go through and Deckard Cain dies, and now this is what happens after Deckard Cain.
Yeah,
and this is what really starts setting up the whole thing.
I mean, I totally agree with Grades. It definitely, Act 1 was just amazing. I mean, it gave me all the feelings that I wanted to have back from Diablo 1 and 2.
Right.
Act 2 definitely felt more like, okay, let's set up the story for this game now. And for me, it's a little slow going. I mean, I had a blast with it, but it kind of more just drove me to, like, okay, let me get this done and start moving on to the meat and potatoes of this game.
Yeah, where did this act start dragging out? I mean,
Act 2.
I know, but where did act? just the minute we walked in, it's just like
just
probably
the minute the little kids started talking. All right,
Yeah,
I'm like, shut up.
I actually agree with that. Is when you start. Big spoilers here. The Emperor Haakon, which is the little kid that you deal with, is actually Lord of Belial.
How long did it take anyone to pick that one out?
Yeah, that's a pretty big no-brainer. So it shouldn't be too big of a spoiler.
Creepy kid, really?
Yeah.
Of course, he's the demon. Really?
Yeah, but
I don't want creepy kids in my games.
Yeah.
But
don't want them.
You have to have a creepy. It's horror standard now. You have to have a creepy kid running around sometime.
Yeah, basically though, whenever you meet him and you start getting into, I'm here to help you, that's when it kind of starts dragging at that point, and then the little quest that he sends you on until you start getting to the stuff about Zoltan Kulle. And when you start doing Zoltan Kulle, that's when it really starts feeling really good. And then
it starts to get cool.
Yeah, it starts to get cool.
Yeah.
Zoltan Kulle.
Pun intended. And
Exactly.
I have to agree with that. It seemed like everything that led up to the Zoltan Kulle thing, I was just like, sometimes I had to ask myself, God, why am I doing this? They're like, hey, lead the peasants to the sewers. I'm like, and honestly, Cash, I ran that together. That one little mission piece where you actually literally had to go and find peasants and put them
They're
all up.
too stupid to find the sewer that's 10 steps away.
Yeah. But it was I liked mechanically how they did that, how it was timed. And you were just like running around grabbing people and stuff. And Cash and I screwed up. We actually went into the sewers. And I'm like, dude, I don't think this is where we're supposed to be. And literally, we lost a ton of time, but we still ended up getting like 15 of these guys, jammed in those sewers. Like, get in there, fool.
And I do like how they don't make it difficult to complete the objective, but they make it difficult to get the achievement for it.
Yes.
I do like that.
All I know is if our country ever gets invaded, I just go crawl in the sewer. It's
Isn't that what you do in a zombie attack?
Good plan.
There's creepy kids down there.
Yeah, creepy kids.
You're right. My initial thought when I saw Mr. Emperor is, I mute you guys on Xbox. Why are you in my game?
Because, and it didn't shock me. I'm like, the little kid prince. Yep, that makes complete sense to me. And the minute I'm sitting there, I'm like, that's the bad guy. Got to be the bad guy. Can't be. The little kid prince in any situation is never a good person.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even in Aladdin, right? No.
Case in point is Game of Thrones. Just let it be known.
Yeah, exactly.
Case in point is Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom.
Oh, very true.
That creepy prince kid. I mean, are you kidding me?
Case in point, my 13-year-old.
So yeah, it just seemed like all the little stuff I was doing around Chaldean did seem like I guess it felt like I was repeating myself. Like I kept like going to talk to every time the little kid talked, something turned into snakes and came and attacked me. And I was just like, I felt like I've done that before. And then when we even get to Belial, I'm like, he's turning the guards into snakes again. Hey, pulled that trick a few too many times, it just, I don't know, that seemed to kind of drag for me a little bit, but let's go into Zoltan Kuhl real quick. You've got to find a guy's body and a guy's head and put them together.
Yes,
I love this was a great idea. Go find this guy's head and then reattach it to his body and he'll be fine.
Did you listen to the backstory behind Zoltan Kuhl?
Tell us the backstory. Great.
So you didn't. So the backstory behind Zoltan Kuhl is he's one of the original Horadrim, and he actually became obsessed with learning about the Soul Stones, which were granted by the Archangel Tyrael, and he helped the Horadrim command, make them, and use them to entrap the demons of hell, the prime evils and the lesser evils. Well, Zoltan Kuhl became obsessive, created the Black Soul Stone, was channeling his energy into it. And the Horadrim figured it out that he actually wanted to use it to capture angels and demons. So he's a little bit of a, let's take from everybody to become better than them all, and then I can rule the world. Well, his Horadrim friends didn't quite like that and decided that he had to be stopped. But he had placed a lot of spells over himself, so it's kind of like Lord Voldemort and Harry Potter. I can't be killed. So they did the only thing. They separated his head from his body, buried part of his blood, and pretty much, put him into suspended animation until we decide to bring him back to help us get the Black Soul Stone from his laboratory, basically.
I loved that run of it. I loved that part of this game. I just thought that was the most imaginative part of this. And it really grabbed that whole desert theme and really turned it into that fun, mystical thing. Cal, give me some thoughts. What do you think about going after Zoltan Kuhl?
I loved it. Frankly, the Zoltan Kuhl part where you go into the Terminus, I think it's called.
Yep.
That area is one of the most creative I've seen throughout the entire game. I think that's the one part of Act 2 that I really loved. And you could just tell going through, spoiler alert, Zoltan Kuhl was going to turn around and stab you in the back.
Oh, yeah.
Could never saw that one coming.
Yeah, you saw it coming,
that foreshadowing thing that was really obvious.
Yeah, but it was still fun. It didn't really take away from that for me.
And that pissed me off, though. I mean, you go all around collecting pieces of his body, and then he goes and tries to kill you? I mean,
I knew he was going to do it, and I was thinking, why am I doing this stupid thing?
Now,
I already got the pieces I want.
Well, and I'll wait to continue it once we're done with Zoltan Kuhl.
All right. Denver, what did you think about Zoltan Kuhl? Did you like that run?
Yeah, I kind of mirroring a lot of the feelings that everybody else had. Annoying boy. Why am I listening to this person? Fairly self-explanatory. But yeah, I don't know if they just got lazy when they were doing the writing, but they're like, oh, no one will ever know this. Dun, dun, dun. There was no soap opera sting. You didn't need it because you knew what was going to happen. You were like, oh, this is not going to turn out well. But I don't know. I think the run was fun. The objectives were pretty cool. I definitely liked sticking, a head on a body and all that stuff. Felt pretty good. And I thought it took a little too long to get to the point where you put the head on the body.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody else kind of mirrored that, but it was like, okay, yeah, we get it. You're a spirit. How many levels of this shit am I going to have to go through? Excuse me. Before I get to the bottom of this spire, this like intentional huge spire that I'm going to have to go through. I don't know. It seemed like it was a bit much, but decent payoff when you were done.
Yeah, it was decent payoff. Cash, what do you think?
I liked the fight. That was the best part.
Yeah, the fight was good. It was a good fight. It was a good boss battle. It was a pretty decent one. I have to give you that one. But I think maybe that's the issue, and tell me if I'm wrong here, everybody. Is it the fact that, here we go. We leave Act 1. Act 1 had hooks. It hooked you right back in. It had some shocking moments. Act 1, dead end. Hey, I think they're killing Deckard Cain. Literally, we're having that conversation as they're killing him. I'm like, hey, I think they're killing Deckard Cain. Everyone's like, no way, he's not killing Deckard Cain. Holy crap, Deckard Cain's dead. And then we walk into Act 2, which, if you hear our conversations, we all knew the little boy was Belial. We all kind of saw what was going to happen with Zoltan Kulle. I guess maybe that was the Act 2 issue for me, is it all just seemed too obvious.
Well, it did kind of all seem too obvious, but... Again, I really liked the Zoltan Kulle. The Zoltan Kulle part, even though it was obvious, felt really good.
No, it did, but
it felt like that should have been the main quest. And before we got to Belial, and then when we get to Belial, it's just kind of like, oh, the little kid. Oh yeah, he's the demon of hell.
Yeah, but they brought the little kid in front of you too many times for you not to be like, yeah, little kid's Belial. You just know he's just been there too many times in front of your face. So let's go ahead and break it down. How did you guys feel? You get to the end of this act, you confront Belial. How was that boss battle?
Loved it.
Pretty epic.
I liked it.
Oh, it was fun.
I
actually
pain
find that
if you're soloing.
I find that one of the most difficult boss battles in the game. The other ones I don't have problems with. That one I do. I think it's because it's so confined and I don't have room to move around a lot.
I thought he was easy compared to Belial himself.
Are we talking Zoltan Kulle or Belial boss battle?
We're talking Belial.
Well, a comparison.
Okay, so we're talking Belial boss battle.
Oh, Belial. Yeah, Belial made me mad. In fact, I'm on Belial right now on Nightmare Mode is the next part of my story. And makes me sad.
You're not looking forward to that, are you?
No, I've tried it like 4 times, and the thing is, you zone in like, okay, now I get to listen to Little Kid again. Yay! Space bar, skip.
Get out of here, little kid. We're sick of you. But I got to tell you, that Belial battle was epic. I thought that was a really epic run. I really loved how it took you through different stages. First is kill the soldiers. Then Belial shows up in little form. Then Belial shows up in one very big form. And that's where the challenge begins. Surtas, how did you feel about taking out Belial? How was that for a battle for you?
Well, on normal, it was pretty decent. I went through with a group the first time, and then the second time I had a pretty good idea of how to beat him. So I took him down, no problem. But I gotta tell you, I'm playing right now on was it Nightmare?
We are on Nightmare.
Oh, we're on Nightmare.
Yeah,
it's aptly named. I am over here getting beat like a slave, and I don't really appreciate the way that this is happening. I want to speak to my union boss or something, because this is ridiculous.
I don't appreciate this.
I didn't ask for this type of treatment, and I want to speak to the owner of this establishment because this is wrong.
Yeah. I don't know. I really enjoyed the Belial battle. And I see how going into Nightmare Mode, it is going to only get much more difficult because, Cash, I know you and I ran through it together for our first time, and that was kind of a rough run.
It was right off the bat, but you know what? We figured it out relatively quickly. Yep. It's just it was a dance. You just got to dance around the stuff. But I think both of us resonate at the same time. We dropped a couple of F-bombs when he turned from little Belial into big Belial. We were just like, oh my God.
Listening to you guys doing that.
It was on, dude.
Fun. It was fun.
That was a lot of fun. I really did enjoy that. Cal, how'd you feel about that?
Oh, I loved that fight.
Yeah.
Though on Nightmare Mode, it was the toughest fight on Nightmare Mode for me.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, he was a killer, and I was moving around too much. That was the thing. It was not intuitive for me for some reason. The first couple times I did it, where I just kept on dying. It took me dying and dying and dying, then realizing I'm just moving around too much. I need to just bide my time.
Yeah, absolutely. I hear you on that one. You do have to bide your time. Isn't the tactic, Kel, that if you stand in one place, you're in a better place than if you run around?
Yeah, because if you're moving around too much, you're going to get boxed in. You should move only when you have to move, and move to a clear place and stay there as long as it's clear.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just inviting hits.
Yeah, and you panic sometimes when you're in this situation. He starts dropping the green goo all over the place, and you're like, ah! You start freaking out a little bit, but it was a pretty fun fight. Denver, I know you like tactics in your boss battles. Did you think this one was was a little bit more interesting or more engaging than the previous boss battles in Act 1?
Oh, very much so. And actually, that was the one thing I was going to say. I had forgotten that I believe Mr. Greats stepped in to help me with this one, because I was a little bit undergeared and maybe even a little bit underleveled when I got there. And so I was having a little bit of difficulty, especially with my dogs were dying. They just didn't have enough oomph, and so I would blow them up, and that would help. But once I got to that second phase, I had nothing left in the tank. I had no abilities left, and so Greats had to step in and give me a hand in terms of getting it done. But I thought it was a significantly better fight, and I liked that it had some complication to the mechanic, that you got chased around a little bit, that you had to keep moving, because nothing drives me nuts more than when you're in a boss battle and all you do is stand in one spot and just mash the keys. Like, come on, somebody got lazy. That's the way I always think about it. I'm like, somebody they wanted to go home. It was Friday. They were thinking about the beer they were going to have, or the woman they were going to meet, or the man they were going to meet, and that's all they were thinking about. And they were like, yeah, we don't need to really move around, do we? We can just kind of stay in one spot. No, you can't. Okay, I need some movement. I need some mechanic. So I did enjoy that, and definitely it ramps up a little bit when you get to that next mode. Yeah, little bit more difficult in the Nightmare mode.
Yeah, they just have a few more tricks up his sleeve in Nightmare, I've noticed, and
yeah, that's a good way to put it.
kind of die a lot, but that's good. I like that. And that's what I do enjoy about this game, is the fact that really those boss battles do change as we get into the higher difficulties. I mean, they really transform into something that's really rather difficult. But Parasite, I haven't really had a chance to really talk to you about this. When I look at the Belial boss battle, I think it's the best designed boss battle in the entire game. Would you agree or disagree, and why?
I would definitely agree. I mean, the way it ramps up, I mean, with the little girl or little boy, it seemed like a girl to me, turning into sounded like it at least. The pools is the thing that, like, I mean, I was soloing it forever, just running around like crazy, getting boxed in. And I know I finally had to call Ivan in for reinforcements, and we just downed him instantly. But it was great mechanics. I mean, it was just nice to see right from Act 1 into Act 2 just something completely different and just fun.
I like boss battles that stage, and that's what this does. And, I love boss battles that stage, where you are, at first he sends all of his little soldiers at you. Second, he's coming at you in the smaller form. Then all of a sudden, I'm big, and now I'm really mad. I love staging boss battles like that, where you really just where you have to ask yourself when you're in the combat, you're like, oh my God, when is this thing going to end? When am I going to just defeat this guy? And I love that. I think that's really good design. And when we get into later acts, we'll talk about it. But I'm a little disappointed that we don't get a lot of staging boss battles in this game. We only get a couple, or maybe 3 tops. And it kind of bums me out. I'd like to have a lot of stages in my boss battles like that. Really kind of puts that epicness into that fight for me. And that's why the Belial battle, to me, is always going to be a big landmark of the success in this game. And the whole reason you play Act 2 is just to go fight that fight again, because, man, it's an epic battle, and it feels epic all the way through.
Yeah, in our live stream here, we're getting combats that the transitions of it make it more energetic and keep you on your toes.
Yeah.
And they're also saying that they agree with me. My point is that it is one of the hardest boss fights out of the group so far.
Oh yeah, it easily is, and that I think that's what makes it really fun and what made it a truly enjoyable boss battle, in the game. And honestly, I wish we would have seen a little bit more of that heading into the later acts. I mean, that's just me, but I don't know. How do you guys feel about that?
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
Yeah. So I guess
Agreed.
I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of that, but it was really nice that we had it that one time there with Belial. I mean, it just was an amazing battle, and it was just a fun one in the end. And when we finally got through Belial, Cash, I think we really did feel kind of celebratory there, didn't we?
Yeah, it was a really good moment. I had a great time with it, and your reactions just make me laugh.
Well, I don't know. I think there's landmark moments in this game and in the storyline. In Act 2, I think Belial is the landmark moment for me, at least, in this game. All right, so we've talked about Act 2. We've talked about, how the desert, it just seemed like the pacing slowed down a little bit. It took us a little too long to get to where we got to. But let me ask you this. How did you guys feel about the cutscene at the end?
Which one was this again?
The cutscene.
Oh, this was the...
out of Act 2.
Yeah, this was the Black Soulstone cutscene of her in the library.
Yeah.
That was a pretty good cutscene with Asmodan. I really liked when they went down into the crystal and you saw all of the spirits trapped in it.
Yeah.
That just really made it really ominous, and I really liked how they did that. And then all of a sudden this demon comes in, he's big, fat, he's on clawed legs, and he's like, I'm going to get you, my pretty.
No, those were axes on his feet, dude.
Okay.
They were axes. I swear to God, they were axes on his feet. It was just like, I was like, what a strange design choice, but I kind of appreciate it. Kind of got that Kiss feeling to it. It was kind of nice. Parasite, what do you think about it?
I mean, all of these cutscenes from what we've seen so far are just amazing. The time that they've spent just making these look so epic. I mean, yeah, when Asmodan comes in, it's just like, oh yeah, I'm ready for Act 3 now.
Yeah, I think. Let me ask you this, Denver. Did that cutscene? Did it reveal anything or give you any suspicions of how the story was going to unfold?
Yeah, I mean, I think it did. Like I said, I mean, I think that was probably the best part of Act 2. not to put too fine a point on it, but I think it gave a few things away. It had some good foreshadowing in it, but it wasn't too much. It wasn't like, again, what we talked about earlier, where you're like, okay, I get it. The kid's going to be evil and he's probably going to have laser eyes or something like that. Like, it was at least something that said, okay, we know that this is how it's going to be.
Yeah. Take
a look at it, see what you think. We'll give you a little bit of hint to it, but no, I didn't feel like it gave anything major away, or that it was. I also didn't feel like it did too good of a job of setting up Act 3. I thought once you got into Act 3, you learned a lot about it, but it seemed like that was the finality of the first portion. It was, okay, now we're moving on to the rest of the game. Does that make sense?
Completely. And I think that's where, that cutscene even more kind of sets the tone that Act 2 is just a really big transitional piece of the game, of actually getting you from Act 1, here's the problem, to Act 3, here's the solution to the problem, Or, here's the climax of the problem, if you will.
Yeah, I agree.
And what I really like about the cutscene there for at the end of Act 2 or the beginning of Act 3, how you look at it, is that they bring back Mount Arreat, which in Diablo 2 was the home of the World Stone and the barbarians.
Yep.
And it's really amazing to go back, see what's happened, see that, the minions of hell are going to pour forth from Mount Arreat here. That's not good.
Barbarians are not happy.
No, they are not, as my barbarian is showing right now. But they, it's just nice seeing them bring back the whole scene and let's go to Mount Arreat. Let's kick some ass. You've been here before. It's time to see what's happened and how everything's set up. So just, again, continuing with their war tradition. I like it.
Yeah, I like that too. Surtas, how'd you feel about the cutscene at the end of Act 2?
I thought it was really epic. I like the fact that they just basically put her in a situation like, this is what we're going to do. There's nothing that you could do to stop it. And I really felt like the character felt helpless. with what was going on.
Right.
So I think Blizzard has one thing down. If nothing else, they really know how to do an excellent cutscene, and they really how to bring the drama with it. TNT don't know drama. Blizzard knows drama.
There is a lot of emotional appeal in that one, where she's dropping to her knees while the minions of hell are just marching past her and actually paying absolutely no mind to her whatsoever. I thought that was really cool. Kel, how'd you feel about that?
It's a toughie because before the game started, I'll reveal it now to everyone else. Between the cast and I had made a prediction about how the game was going to go, so it kind of just fed into that.
Sure did, didn't it?
Yeah, it really did, and I was happy about that. It just confirmed in my mind what I was already thinking. Mm-hmm. But then again, I'm a playwriter, so I do a lot of long distance thinking about plots and stuff and how to develop it. So maybe I was just had a different perspective.
I don't know. I think a few of us mirrored what you had to say, though. I think a lot of us saw the same things you saw in that prediction that you made. And you're right. I think that this cutscene definitely helps you push in that direction. Tara, is there anything in the cutscene that you saw that you wanted to talk about?
I pretty much mirror what everyone else is saying, especially the feeling of helplessness for the character, because, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, but I didn't expect all of that, really. Oh, just the lack of control over the situation. All the other cutscenes, I felt like up to that point were pretty low-key. Yeah. And this just seemed really epic.
I did like the epicness of this, too. And it kind of gave me that Lord of the Rings feel. I don't know if anyone else get that Lord of the Rings feel from it at all?
Yes.
Okay.
Very much so. Like, him coming out of the dark mists and just like one of the visions in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And just... these demons are all pouring out from the Far East, and the Eye's watching over everything, and they're going to come attack the land of men, and you're screwed, and now what are you going to do?
Now what are you going to do about it? It's already over. It's already ended. The one thing I liked about this cutscene, the first part I was watching it, and I was like, yeah, okay, cool, whatsoever. I liked the question that I was always asking myself in the head, and at the end of the cutscene that answered it for real was, she's looking at the Soul Stone, and you couldn't really tell. It's like, okay, is this going on in her head, or did she actually get sucked into the thing for a second, right? And then here we go. Angel comes with these two hands and just jerks her out of the thing. It's like, what's wrong with you? Don't go.
That part is epic.
I'm like, oh, angels are so tough. They can reach into Soul Stones and grab people out of them. Is that not cool or what?
Well, and I guess the ultimate question is, was she really in the Soul Stone or not?
I don't know.
Was it just a vision?
Did angels pull people out of visions like that?
Well, when he pulls her back, her shoulders, it's just there. She's back in the office or library. So, was she really in the stone, or was it just some vision that was about to envelop her soul?
I think she was in the stone myself.
Maybe it wasn't her physical being that went in the stone, but her spirit.
That could be
her soul, because it's a soul stone.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh.
She started.
There was one thing I thought was really, really cool about that cutscene, and it's really, really small. But while I was looking at it, I kept looking at her eyes, and I kept looking at how realistic her eyes looked.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff you see and with games, the eyes look like vacant and soulless.
Yeah.
The uncanny valley is what they call
it was like really, I could see like the moisture in her eye. It was like grabbing me. I just couldn't let go of that thought. I was like, man, this is really awesome.
Yeah, you could see the pores in her cheeks.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it was cool.
ridiculous.
That's Cash's favorite part on a woman, so you guys know.
Oh,
the pores in her cheeks. No, the pores in them.
The pores in the cheeks.
Yeah.
Which set of cheeks?
Okay, stop right there. Thank you very much. That was great. Thank you. Let's stop. Let's not keep going with that. I'm just gonna put the kibosh on that right now. The wall's up. There's the boundary. It's been set. Let's all respect it. Great. So with that, let's go ahead and conclude our.
Man, he's.
Is there any other way? Is there any way to
communist
transition?
administration?
That's right. There it is. This is I am the communist administration. Hence why the name is Ivan. Okay, now we all get it. There we go. So a little bit of the inside how we run things. So here we go. There we go. That's Act 2, in our opinion. And, honestly, I it seemed a little long. Didn't seem as exciting as Act 1. So be it. Still a great act. I still love the fights with Belial. We still love the fights with the headless dude. What's his name again? Cool. Zoltan Cool. And we love the cutscene at the tail end of that thing. So with that, let's go ahead and we'll move on and let's talk a little bit about our character builds.
Good day, my friends. Welcome to Lore Time. I'm Ralok the Monk. It remains a terrifying and confusing time, and the world must be told of the ensuing darkness. Stay a while and listen as I open my tome and tell my tale. Our time is short, so learn now what you can about the darkness that plagues our land, for knowledge and foresight may be our only chance of redemption. Tonight, hear my tale of a whimsical experience that occurred over the past week. I was on sabbatical hunting the fields for feral pigs, my favorite mealtime fare. Prior to my hunt, I had visited a blacksmith friend of mine to sell some random items I had acquired the week before. Seemingly insignificant, the items consisted of a mushroom, a shin bone, a rusty cowbell, a jar of colorful liquid, and a gem. The smithy would not part gold for the items, but instead handed me a staff of some sort. Reluctantly, I took the staff, although I had no need for it on my hunt. As I approached my usual hunting ground near Old Tristram Road, I noticed a spectral bovine near a pit with a mysterious red glow. Against my better judgment, I entered the portal. On the other side, I found no feral pigs, only a mad cow. The cow pushed me through another portal to a most strange landscape. Adorned by bright colors and a lush grassland, I was overcome with a feeling of gleeful euphoria. I encountered giant smiley faces, pink bears, and ponies. I felt, lighter than my loafers. I suddenly had the urge to put on color-matching clothes, and I began humming Dancing Queen by ABBA. What was this completely foreign feeling? Had I gone mad? My euphoric stupor was interrupted when a group of these pink bears approached me and attacked. In an instant, I reacted. My eyes glazed over and I entered a frenzy. When I emerged from my rage, I stood amongst a sea of blood and pink bear carcasses. What had happened? I did not wish to remain and be subjected to more blood and glee. I raced back through the rainbow portal. As I arrived back to my hunting ground near New Tristram, I felt the strange need to re-embrace my manhood and carry on with my feral pig hunt. Or drink too much mead, or saw some wood, or incite a riot, or do some pull-ups, or leave the lid up, or just lay around in my hut burping and farting. Anything. Oh, anything, please. Just erase the memory of that rainbowed, scarring experience. Does anyone have a man pill? Curse you, Blizzard. My brain requires bleaching. Until next time, my friends, I bid you warning against brightly colored spectral portals. Ugh.
And let's talk a little bit about our character builds. Let's start it off with Brandon, who wrote into the Inferno this week. Hey, I am an avid listener to all your broadcasts through iTunes and a fan from Star Wars The Old Republic to Inferno. Thank you, Brandon. I wanted to introduce you guys to something that completely changed the game for me. It's called Elective Mode. what it is you can use multiple skills from each tree and have free range on skill trees. For example, on Witch Doctor, I can use my Zombie Charger and my Wall of the Dead at the same time. The options are limitless as to build specs for each class and widens your opportunities to create amazing builds. It is in your game options menu under gameplay. Enjoy. Love the show. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Brandon. Let's talk a little bit about, in our builds today, let's talk a little bit about elective mode, because I know people know how we're building our characters and this and this and that, and sometimes, we may be confusing people who may not understand how to unlock elective mode. So, Greats, can you start us off real quick and just kind of run us through how do you unlock elective mode altogether?
Well, first you go into your game menu, and for those of you out there, if you're in a game, you just tap your escape key, it brings up your game menu. Then you'll click on your options, go over to gameplay, and it's on the right hand side under interface, the very bottom option. It's called elective mode in the menu, and you just want to put a check mark in the box and hit accept and save it to your game.
Now, when we talk about the builds that we do in our characters, I think you'll notice we all use elective mode. And Brandon, thanks for bringing that tip in, because really, I think it's one of those things that we have all taken for granted that everyone would know. So I think it's a really good idea if we talk a little bit about elective mode tonight and really how it does change, how it really makes it possible to make truly infinite builds of all these characters, of these character builds. It's absolutely an amazing tool. So let's just kind of go around the room. How do you use elective mode in that, what are some of the same skills that you find yourself using, from the same trees or things of that nature in Diablo 3? So, Grace, why don't you go ahead and just start us off?
Well, I'm going to give you my Barbarian build for Nightmare mode right today. I am using 2 defensive abilities in my elective mode, so it helps in that areas. I can put whatever skills wherever I want, which makes it really nice. And I'm using and here's your main thing, a shield and one-handed weapon. So this is more of a tanking build, but it's also good for your crowd control stuff. It works really good running with a Demon Hunter that's spec'd for AoE damage, so heads up to Terra there. But I use a very fast one-hand weapon with each hit life, 190 gem, and that costs a little bit of money to make, but you can go lower if you can and still have really good survivability. I use Frenzy, in which my rune is Sidearm, which means I have a 25% chance to throw an axe that will go at an enemy and then hit all enemies in its path as well. So that helps keep, when the enemies are clustered around me, just starts throwing down. I have Seismic Slam. I can just hit that and start knocking everything around, knocking them back. With Rumble so that they keep taking damage. Followed with a Leap so I can, get into the middle of the group of enemies instead of right on the edge. And Iron Impact so I gain armor whenever I land for about 4 seconds. Ancient Spear with Harpoon so I throw it through a bunch of enemies and all the enemies that are in the path of the spear get drugged right back to me. Weapon Throw for those enemies that like to run away. And I'm using Stupefy to make them be confused right now, but I also like using Ricochet. And then to pull those big groups of mobs close to me so that those AoE people can go with you, I have Ground Stomp with Wrenching Smash so that everybody within 24 yards gets pulled to me before the strike lands.
Nice.
Then I'm following that up with Passive. I increase my Fury Regen, Animosity, Berserker Rage, because in this one, the only thing that I really get rid of Rage is with Seismic Slam or my Weapon Throw, which I don't use a ton because I just like to frenzy everything and let my friends do all the damage. Nice. So I get 25% additional damage, and then I just use Ruthless, which increases my crit hit chance and by 5 and damage by 50. And for this build, I'm about level 43, but this build can be put together long before 43, so keep your eyes out, guys.
Nice.
Oh, I tired you out already.
Oh, sorry. I don't know why I just yawned. It's just not going well. Parasite, how you use elective mode in your building?
So with the Witch Doctor, I am all about the summons. So, what I love, since a lot of the time I'm just not playing when my friends are playing, I'm soloing. So I use elective mode to have as many of my summons available at any time. So I have my little fetish army, which pops out 6 little dudes. The zombie dogs, I got 4 of those. Then you got the gargantuan. So at any point I can have 11 people just running alongside of me, which is just awesome.
That does help things out a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, quite a bit.
Except when fighting Belial.
Yeah.
Epic fail on Belial. But that's okay. That's all right. You know what? Got to change tactics sometimes. Never, Drew, what do you think on your Witch Doctor?
You know what? I really haven't changed much. No, after you guys told me about elective mode, which thank you to our listener who wrote in, because there's a lot of people that still don't know about that, and I think it does open up a lot more possibilities. But one of the things I've been toying with is when I'm in a group, I run exactly what Parasite is talking about, where I'll run as many summons as I can possibly pull up. Mm-hmm. The other thing that I have been running is my 120-second cooldowns. I've been running a couple of those. So I've got my Big Bad Voodoo that gives everybody a buff within the area of effect. And then I've also been running Spirit Walk. So if I need to run out of somewhere, so I'll do as much AoE as possible. If I start pulling aggro, I can bail. Just push that and run straight out. Usually that gives somebody else aggro enough, or it gives my Gargantuan time to pick up aggro. It's pretty nice. But other than that, I'm still running the same build I was last week.
Oh, this talk about Gargantuans. I love it. They're just phenomenal looking things, too.
They're amazing. I mean, again, if you're a witch doctor and you're not using it, you're doing it wrong.
They look like really large demonic stuffed animals, in my opinion.
Yeah, or like voodoo dolls, more so, because it's got the little thing sticking out of its back with the skulls on it. It's pretty cool.
It's just creepy. It's just the Gargantuan's so well designed. Tara, how do you use in the elective mode in your gaming?
Well, when I'm doing combat, I don't really change too much. I still keep the vault, and I keep the caltrops for dropping them. I love me some spike traps. I like laying down stuff for people to walk over as I'm advancing the other way, as someone put it in a chat recently. And when I'm alone and farming for gold, I take out the companion. And the demon hunter has the companion called the ferrets, and they will summon these ferrets, which will go around and collect gold for you, and it increases the amount of gold you find on monsters by 10%.
You mean like the exact same ferrets from the Beastmaster?
Oh, not quite.
With Mark Singer?
Got that.
Yeah, because
Yes.
that's an Easter egg for sure. That you come out with two ferrets that grab gold. That is such a callback to Beastmaster.
It is two ferrets that grab gold, and they're very cute.
It's got to be Beastmaster.
They just run alongside you, and they're adorable.
I will name this one Kodo and this one Podo, and that tells me everything I need to know about Mark Singer. He can't name any pets. Horrible pet naming.
And they're they run so closely together that they look like one giant ferret with two heads.
That's funny. I like that. That's a good one. I like that a lot. That's awesome. Kel, how do you do in the elective mode? I mean, how do you work that in with your spec?
Oh, well, without elective mode, my mage tank build that I used to run with you would never have been possible because I just stacked the defensive abilities. They allowed me a greater ability to keep myself alive as a very, very squishy mage. But how I'm doing it now, I'm still using two defensive abilities. I have both Frost Nova and Teleport. That way I can, if I'm ever in trouble, I can just flash freeze my enemies and get the hell out of there.
Nice.
Other than that, I actually have it pretty separated. I use Electrocute because it's really, really good with Chain Lightning to getting as many enemies as possible. But my primary ability is Disintegrate. I love the lasers. I can't get away from it.
You just can't. They're addictive.
Yeah, they're addictive. They blow things
when you get
down.
to Inferno.
They are so good at just bursting down things. And, if I burn through all of my mana or arcane power, I just use my passive Prodigy while using Electrocute, get my arcane power really quickly. Now, I admit Prodigy isn't ideal for me. I'm looking forward to some of the later ones, transition out of it. But right now, it's really good for my mana regen. And I also love having the Hydra, so I can just pop it down. And in the higher difficulties, I'm having to run around a lot more, but my Hydra can stay there just firing off at my enemies and whittle them down while I try and stay alive.
Very good. I like that. I like that a lot. Cash, how about you? How are you using elective mode in your game?
I'm actually still using the pretty standard build, even though, I have it checked. But, I've ever since we got I got a little bit of information on the fact that I was stacking my deck so high to not forget about my vitality. So I've really spent the week kind of looking for vitality drops, and I'm actually looking pretty good now. So on my monk, when whether I'm with myself or with a party, I just kind of charge right into it. I'm still using Deadly Reach, which is it's kind of a little AoE where I'm striking multiple enemies, and then on the last strike or the third strike of the series, I hit with lightning. So packs a pretty good little punch. And then of course I still have my my bell, but my bell has evolved into quite the powerful thing. I'm using Empowered Wave with the bell now, which basically reduces the spirit cost. So if I have a full spirit well, I can just spam that thing until I'm out and do some serious damage. I think I'm up to like 20. I think I had 26. My record's 26 enemies in one blow. I was pretty happy with that.
Do they change tone so you can be like dong 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 dong?
It actually does. No. It doesn't make any noise now. Now it's just like a big blue. It's like a big blue invisible thing that just drops down. But the thing is, it doesn't drop in front of me anymore. This drops right on top of me. So it's pretty cool.
I was gonna say you accidentally dropped that on me one time, and all I heard was dong.
So it is still making the noise. Okay,
it's like I was freaking inside of the bell. Well, it's been like a week, but it was like I was freaking inside of a huge steeple bell. I
love it.
It was great.
I can't get away from that. So I find that I just rush headlong right into the middle of the group and just start pounding away. I'll hit with my bell, and if I start seeing my my health go down, which with all my vitality and dex now, it's pretty rare that I'm getting hit super hard. But if I do, I just kind of run away. And typically, what I do is I look at at my party members. I run toward the party member that has the least amount of health, and right when I get near him, I hit my breath of heaven, and give him a pretty good heal. So, and then of course I'm still running around with my Mystic Ally. My Mystic Ally has the fire buff now, so he's a little fire dude running around. And that's pretty much it. The mantra I'm using is the mantra of healing, so it increases my life regen for me and my allies.
Nice.
So I'm pretty happy with my build.
Cool. I like it. Sounds good. How about you, Papa? What do you think? How you using the elective mode in your gaming?
Yeah, I just changed my build to exactly what Grace is using, since me and him are running in here. Yeah. And I'm noticing all the damage he's doing and all the amounts of times that I'm dying. So, yeah, I changed it to exactly what he has.
Nice. More survivability, right?
Yeah, but my survivability isn't as good as yours because my gear isn't as good, and I keep getting, beat up from the feet up. But
that's okay. The guys we're facing right now are pretty much wiping the floor with me too.
But I am lasting longer, and so it's like Viagra for me. So I'm good.
There we go. Fantastic. For me, I mean, I what I really like to do with my wizard on this is I use elective mode so I can run Hydra and the Archon form at the exact same time, and it's just I've found it to be exquisite, I guess would be the correct term that I would like to use there, because you drop Hydra down and things just get ugly. You go Archon form and you got the Hydra throwing out damage and I'm throwing out damage, and it just gets downright ugly. It just gets ugly, and I love it. And I love the fact that when I'm in that mode, depending on who I'm playing with, or like if we're sitting in nightmare mode, I'll probably switch it up a little bit and start throwing a couple of defensive ones in there, where I'd use instead of Frost Nova and teleport, Cal, I would use Time Warp. And then teleport, because I've got the time warp set up now that everything that's in it, that when they get hit for 15% extra damage, so it kind of helps whittle them down a little bit quicker. So that's just kind of my only thing that I would have done differently. But I get it. Elective mode, if you haven't used it yet, and when you're building a character, you definitely want to do this, because it really opens things up for you to customize it to the player for abilities that you would like to see and put together. But I think one thing that I would really always recommend is always make sure you have a defensive ability handy on there to help you either survive or escape, because things can get really ugly if you know. So with that, I think we've talked a little bit. We've talked enough about builds, and I don't know. Does anyone else have anything else to add on elective mode or anything like that?
Nope.
Okay. So with that, let's go ahead and move on to our drops of the week. Hey everybody, Ivan here, host of the Inferno, here to talk to you a little bit about Diablo 3: The Order, the newest Diablo book to hit the store shelves. But who has got time to read these books while we've got Diablo 3 to play? Well, that's where our friends at Audible.com come in. You see, at Audible.com, they deal in audiobooks, and you can get Diablo 3, The New Order, in audiobook straight through them to go onto your iPod, your Android, your iPad, and 500 other MP3 devices they're compatible with. It's the easiest way to read the book without actually having to read the book. Just plug it in your MP3 player, listen to it on the car drive to work, at work, on a bike ride while you're jogging, whatever the heck you want to do. And right now, as a special offer to the listeners of the Inferno, you can sign up for a 30-day free trial of Audible.com. Just simply follow this link, audibletrial.com/MOG, M-O-G. Just go ahead and follow that link. That'll take you to the sign-in sheet where you can sign up for a 30-day free trial, plus get a free audiobook. Also, while you're there, you can go ahead and grab Diablo 3: The Order. I heard it's a great book and will help expand your experience of the Diablo 3 universe by tying you into a little bit more of the lore of the game. So again, feel free to go to the link, audibletrial.com/MOG, M-O-G. Pretty simple to spell. So go ahead and please give audible.com a 30-day free trial and tell us what you think. We here at the Inferno love the service and use it regularly to keep caught up on our books as well. So why read a book when you can listen to one? Go ahead and give it a try. audibletrial.com/MOG. And these are our drops of the week. These are the drops that we have found them to be the most promising loot in Diablo 3 for us so far. So let's just start her off. Tara, what's your drop of the week?
Drop of the week is the Marksman's Destroyer. Ooh. 2-hand crossbow, 147.4 damage, 12 to 36 arcane damage, 25 strength, 30 dexterity, and 2.7% chance to blind on hit. And it's got a little socket in there. Right now I've got a gem in there for 12 to 24 damage.
Nice. I like that. That's a good one. Papa, what's your drop of the week?
Well, since Grace didn't share any of his loot this week, I guess I'll have to go with something that I actually earned on my own, which would be a one-handed weapon called Polar Knock. Yeah, it's an axe. Got 59.8 damage, plus 2 to 4 cold damage, plus 34 strength, plus 27 dex, plus 17 life. After each kill, then I put a gem in it that gives me another 15 life for each hit. So for survivability. So that's my drop of the week.
Nice. Good drop. I like that. Diver Drew, drop of the week.
I've actually got a really nice one this week. It's called the Banished Relic.
Nice.
And it's a chest piece. 139 armor, 52 intel, 18 arcane resistance, regenerates 21 life per second, gives me plus 17 to monster kills. And monster kill XP, excuse me. And then it's got 2 sockets in it. Now I decided I was having some trouble staying alive recently, and just because I had a few pieces of gear that are still low and I haven't found a good replacement. So what I've decided is I'm going to put plus 30 vitality in each of those for right now, until I find a couple of better pieces, and then I'll switch those back out and just put them to, probably, I don't know, a topaz or something like that. But something that is going to give me a little bit more intel, a little bit more life at this point is more helpful.
Nice. I like that. Parasite, drop of the week.
So I didn't get to play at all this week since I was stuck at E3.
At E3. I mean, do you hear how he says it? I had to go to E3.
I even offered to, take your spot for you out of the kindness of my heart so you could play Diablo 3 Parasite.
That was nice of you, Grace.
I knew how much you want to play Diablo 3, but you just wouldn't let me, and I'm very sad about that.
So my drop of the week was when I dropped my business card in a little bucket and I got an iPad 3. It's plus 33 to web browsing, and it has a higher percentage chance at app purchases.
Nice.
Oh
Very
my
nice.
god! Was Blizzard at E3 this year?
No, they were not. I was disappointed.
You were looking, weren't you?
I was looking. I was scouring.
Where are you, Blizzard? I want to talk to you about the Diablo.
Exactly. I couldn't play, so at least I could have talked to someone about
Oh,
it.
that would have been sweet. We would have loved that. Oh, well. I guess we'll just try to get one of them on the show at one of these days. Cash, drop of the week?
I not only think that this is my drop of the week, but this is also the name of the week.
Okay.
The name of this one-handed dagger that I picked up is called the Gash Triumph.
Nice.
Thank you very much. You can read into that as far as you'd like, because I did.
Gash Triumph.
So
Oh my
I'm
God.
keeping it out of nostalgia, but it's actually pretty good. It's 71.8 damage, plus 4 to 8 poison damage, plus 78 dex, and even though I don't need the intelligence, got plus 27 intelligence. Attack speed increased by 10%, 1.3 chance to immobilize on hit, and I dropped a 12 to 24 damage gem in there. I like it.
Nice.
That's so interesting because I'm usually triumphant over a gash. What? Too soon? What?
Whoa! No.
Oh boy.
Fed right into it.
What I really enjoy about you guys is you're just making my editing job that much harder tonight. Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome,
you.
Ivan.
Hats
We're
off.
so happy to help
Hats
you.
off to
Can we
you.
do
I didn't
anything
say a
else
bad
real
word.
quick?
Hats off. I love this.
Neither did I.
Editing.
Blizzard did.
Blizzard. Love it. Thanks, Blizzard. Kel,
Yep.
drop of the week.
My drop of the week is for my Demon Hunter, and it's not just from normal play. I got really, really tired of not getting anything, and so I went and I dropped 200,000 gold on a legendary.
200,000.
Yeah,
Nice.
On a legendary, that's pretty good, actually.
yeah, it was a steal because I saw the same item going for upwards of $1 million.
Okay, what is
Sold
it?
Flint Ripper arrows, plus 70 dexterity, attack speed increased by 10%.
Okay.
Each hit adds 156 life. It by itself adds 3% to my life.
Wow.
Critical hit chance increased by 4.5%. Health globes grant 1,559 extra life. And it has a 16.7% chance to inflict bleed for 136 to 163 damage over 5 seconds. And the little quote at the bottom says, "Tear through flesh and bone with surprising ease."
Nice.
Nice.
That's a $200,000 legendary off the auction house. Nice find. Good spin there, Kel. I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, for me, my drop of the week this week was the Staff of Herding. That's right, everybody. I have completed my quest for the Staff of Herding. I completed it. I built it. I am now allowed into the ever fantastic world of Whimsy Shire.
Well, on behalf of the Welcoming Committee of Whimsyshire, may I, Reginald Whimsyshire III, welcome you to our wonderful home. Be sure to see our floral clock. It is quite...
Oh no.
No.
God bless you, Kel. Thank you so much for that. Thank you, Reginald Whimsyshire III. But it was really fun to get that done. I was really actually... we got the Gibbering Gemstone finally, and then the other two kind of fell down for me rather quickly. I was really quite impressed with that. So I'm happy to have it, happy to walk into Whimsyshire whenever I want to. And it's been fun so far. So for those of you who haven't done it yet, it is possible. If I can get it done, I can guarantee you can too. So with that, those are our drops of the week, and let's go ahead and move on now to some emails that we heard from you from last week's show. So here we go. Let's start it off here. This comes from James. James writes, "Hello, Inferno crew. So I managed to get my Infernal Staff of Herding this week." Hey, me too, buddy. "And have delved into the soul-crushing experience that is Inferno Whimsyshire. I have ventured in with both my Demon Hunter and my Wizard with drastically different results. I tried a couple of builds with my Wizard, neither of which really getting me anywhere. On my Demon Hunter, however, I have a build I'm using now that seems to be rather promising, which I'll detail below. I call it my Crit Factory build, as it relies upon and generates tons of critical hits. Primary Hungering Arrow with Devouring Arrow rune. Secondary Elemental Arrow with the Nether Tentacles rune. The 1 key has Vault with the Tumble rune. The 2 key has Caltrops with the Bait the Trap rune. The 3 key has Spike Trap with the Slow Fuse rune. And the 4 key has Companion with the Bat Companion rune. Passive 1, Steady Aim. Passive 2, Archery. Passive 3, Sharpshooter. I have yet to use this build with another player, as most of my friends either aren't high enough or busy, and I don't want to lead random people to their death experimenting. As it stands now, I have no problem with the white mobs for the most part. The real problem comes with being the only focus of attention when the champion / rare packs come, as all it takes to die is one shot. The white mobs generally have about 300k health, with the champions seem to have around 3 million or so. I've tried swapping out the Nether Tentacle rune for Screaming Skull and Lightning Bolt runes. Both tried to help with the champ packs as a solo player, and neither really have that much of an effect in the grand scheme of things. Well, there we have it. Someone has tried soloing Whimsyshire Inferno. Has a build. Just not sure how to take down the big boys. So I think we've pretty much assumed now that Whimsyshire is not going to be done Inferno by herself.
I would hesitate against that. There's some people in Pandemonium that have said they've been working on it. So and they said they've been clearing it. Sometimes not fully, though. So I told them to get a video up. So we may be seeing in the next few weeks some videos from people soloing some Whimsyshire, which I think is simply amazing by itself. But we will see where they go.
Yeah, bring us Pandemonium. Bring us your soloing Whimsyshire. And I want the whole thing done. I want a whole Inferno Whimsyshire completed. Not just I soloed like 4 mobs and then died. I want the whole thing run in Inferno. And then I want the build.
I want the video.
Yeah, be good to see
I'd be a fan.
I want the full build too, because it's awesome.
I would subscribe.
Yeah, I'd be on board with that. So I don't know. Thanks for sharing that build, though. Does that seem like an interesting or viable Demon Hunter build for Whimsyshire, guys?
Yes, very much so.
Definitely does.
Good. So let's all start making that build for our Whimsyshire runs, and I think it will work. And I would say, you know what? Take random people to their death to experiment. Why not? If they've never been to Whimsyshire, why not take them and let them see the ponies and have them get killed by them? I think it's a fantastic experience. Everyone should experience at least once in their life.
Fully agree.
Last but not least, Raiden sends in this email. Hey guys, had a bit of information. I find somewhat interesting. The vendor that sells Wirt's Bell is named Squirt the Peddler. Yes, we knew this. When you talk to her sometimes, she talks about her family being from Tristram, which leads me to believe she's related to Wirt in some manner. Just thought I'd share that bit of info with you. Love the show. Keep up the great work. So what do you guys think? She is?
Yes.
Kara?
Yep.
How do you know this?
Oh, a little research. Because I thought the same thing.
Oh, so you researched it and found out that Squirt is Wirt's sister?
Not sister. I think like a descendant.
A descendant of Wirt.
Yes.
How could he have mated? He died as a child.
Well, no, not a descendant. I'm not sure then.
Sounds like a job for the lore master.
You know what?
Yeah.
This sounds like a total Men in Black scene to me.
Or the Jerry Springer show. Hey, yeah.
Or a Star Wars. No, not Star Wars. Star Trek, Stargate. You know, any of those Star shows in their time series.
Raiden, I agree with Raiden on this one, though. I love the callback when you're talking to Squirt and she says she's from Tristram. You just can't help but put the two and two together. Squirt, Wirt, the whole thing. I think it's a fantastic little callback to Diablos of past, especially the first one, or namely the first one. And I thought that was a kind of a fun little email. Thank you for sending those. And for the rest of you, please send us your emails, comments, questions, your builds, anything you'd like to send us. Feel free to shoot that to us, inferno@mog-radio.com. We'd sure love to read your emails on the show and comment on them. as always. So feel free to send those in for us here for next week's show. Tell us what you think about Act 2. I would sure like to know if you guys find it to be as long and drawn out as we did, and if you found that the fun parts of Act 2 were just as fun as we thought they were. So with that, thank you for your emails. Keep sending them in, and let's go ahead and end this show. And that was the Inferno broadcast number 5. Thanks, everyone, for joining us this week for our Act 2 breakdown. As always, we're going to keep grinding through this game, so next week we'll be talking a little bit more about the game. I'm not sure if we'll be going Act 3. We'll probably be talking a little bit about crafting at this point in time, just to break up the mayhem a little bit and not be too predictable. But we'd like to thank you all for listening to the show. Feel free to email us, inferno@mog-radio.com. Come to the website, mog-radio.com. This week we're going to be putting up a review of our Guild Wars 2 beta weekend. We had a player that we played with all weekend long write the review on that. We're going to have that featured on the website, so please stop by and read that if you didn't get a chance to jump in the Guild Wars 2 beta and check that game out. Also, feel free to follow us on our Twitter site at Mog Radio 1. Last but not least, Deborah, would you please encourage our listeners to give to our Games for Soldiers drive?
Yeah, what we're doing right now is a drive for Games for Soldiers. This is great charity where you gather all your old PS3, Xbox 360 video games, get some DVDs, not Blu-rays, but DVDs, and get your comic books together and send them to us. What we're doing is we're getting those to our soldiers that are deployed overseas in hot zones, give them something to do on their downtime so they're not stuck over there, bored out of their mind, as well as in a really dangerous situation. So send them to us. As I talked about on our other show, I am sending in my old Xbox 360, and I am sending in about 6 games to give them a little jump start. I get nothing for this. You get the satisfaction of feeling good about making a donation, about helping people out, and you get entered into our contest. We got great prizes going on. We got on-live consoles we're giving away, and our grand prize is a custom-built PC, and it's built in a weapons mag. You'll love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely feel free to send us in a donation. One game is enough, honestly. Any donation is highly appreciated from you folks. Cash, can we get the address real quick where you can send that to?
You got it. You can send it to Games for Soldiers Charity Event, 18340 Yorba Linda Boulevard. That's YORBALINDA Boulevard, Suite 107-156. That's in Yorba Linda, California, 92886. It will end up in my hot little hands, and I'm going to hand deliver a giant, hopefully truckload of games to Catherine Tabor, voice actress extraordinaire. She lives relatively close to me, so I will be hand delivering all of these things over to her sometime next month, but the time is now. Get them in, and you'll be eligible for prizes. Good ones.
Absolutely. Prizes that were won today. We handed out a free OnLive console. We handed out a Cyber Rat 7 mouse from Madcast, including mousepad. And we also handed out a free 10-man voice server of your choice, Vent, TeamSpeak, or Mumble, for the first 3 months for 12 weeks for free. So there are prizes still available. So if you get your mail in, get your donations sent in within the next 2 weeks, we'll have you entered in for our next prize drawing, and you too could be a winner. So with that, we'll wrap up the Inferno. We thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Cheers.